Hey everybody, welcome to Habitat Now. I'm your host, Aaron Shea. It's an honor to have you join me again for another edition of NGG. Can you even believe it? 2021, 2022, 2023, we're continuing the legacy of this online exhibition, which was born out of the pandemic, offering work and a glimpse into artists' lives we usually don't show in our gallery, not all the times, but an opportunity to expose a few artists that we really think are going to be the future of the medium. And they might not be part of Grandma's art collection yet, which is what the whole NGG thing is about. It's a snakes on a plane approach to bringing attention to the glass artists in our community. And speaking of our community, today we have an artist, Andy Koupal, joining us. He is from the Detroit area. I had an opportunity to meet Andy at the Janice Charach Gallery here in West Bloomfield. He was part of the glass show celebrating glass in local area. It was like Ohio and Michigan glass artists. And it was a great show. I purchased work from the show. And I bumped into Andy at the show, and we gave him an award from Habitat celebrating what he was doing. And we'll get into that as he talks today. And it's great to have you. In the meantime, I'm going to go over a little bit of housekeeping, as I always say, and I'm going to take over your screen and just show you a little bit about NGG real quick. The Not Grandma's Glass website's been up since 2021. You can learn all about the artists that have been in this year. So far, we're in our third artist, and you can see you have an invitation to join the Zoom right here, and you can view their exhibition. And after these recordings are done, this Zoom talk turns into a basically look at the video online, watch YouTube. So in the past years are up here in the archive. You can see the 2022 artists, and obviously all the way back in 2021 and these people are so great. They're all part of our community. We see them all the time, and they have solo shows and their careers are blossoming. So that's exciting. And then you can see, I'll post in the link, we have Andy's solo exhibition titled NGG 2023 up on Artsy with available pricing. I'll share the link later. So let me kick back into my PowerPoint here as fast as humanly possible, and we'll kick through some of the details. So this month on March 24th, we are going to have a solo exhibition of artist Mark Laputa. We had some of his work on display down in Sarasota, but we're going to create a whole exhibition for him. And he is an incredible talent. These are blown, carved, and etched. I have a whole writing about comparing Mark Laputa to some other artists well known in the glass community. So check that out on our website. Come to the show. You're all invited. Wilfred Gruten's exhibition that we had a solo down in Florida will also be on display. So it's worth the trip. April, we're having a solo by artist Peter Hora. Many of you are familiar with his work. I spelled his name wrong there. I'll have to fix that. Longtime member of our Habitat family. We're putting the details together, more details soon. And then, of course, the next big thing is the International. And we're tying that into all kinds of fun stuff. We're tying it into, we have the ACG coming. We're doing the first ever artist gala, celebrating the artists attending GAS, the International, our Masterworks auction, all those details, tying into the GAS presentation. And then if you're in town, the Michigan Glass Project, plan to be in the Detroit area in June of this year. The glass tour is happening. Not many details left on this because it's pretty much all hammered out. They're taking our Habitat family is taking a trip to Europe on a cruise ship, going from port to port and visiting all kinds of artist studios and museums. It's incredible. We've been doing these trips since the 90s. It's just plan on being on the next one. It's just amazing. Andy, so this brings us to you. So thanks for joining us today. Say hi to everybody.
Hey, guys.
Great to have you, Andy. So I'm going to have you take over the screen, and I'll tell everybody a little story while you're doing that. On my way down to Sarasota, I was sitting next to a person I didn't know, happened to be an artist, and she was telling me about her work, and then she told me, they got in the conversation of the Janice Charach Gallery, and she just happened to buy one of Andy's pieces at the exhibition we discovered him on. So he's been in the Detroit area forever, working at Henry Ford. He'll go more into it, but it's an honor to have you today, Andy. I'll let you take it away, my friend.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks so much for having me, Aaron and Corey, and thanks for everyone for joining me and all of us today. Yeah, I've got some friends and family in the mix too, so thanks for taking time on your day and coming and checking it out. Yeah, as said, my name's...
Let me handle that real quick. Give me one second. Get back to my Zoom screen. I'm going to mute everybody, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And Andy, go ahead and unmute yourself if you don't mind. That way you keep the ducks to a minimum.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I already got some excitement going. Thank you.
Right.
All right. Well, yeah, as Aaron mentioned, my name is Andy Koupal, and I'm a glass designer and sculptor out here in Detroit, Michigan. I grew up most of my life in Western Wayne County, and I'm back here currently and operate my own studio in Detroit as well. I used to teach at the College for Creative Studies for about almost 9 years, for those of you familiar with that, and worked at the Henry Ford Museum and Simon Pierce, and now I have, like I mentioned, my own studio in Detroit. And yeah, I'll be sharing some images of that and talking a little bit about that as we go on. And so anyways, I'm gonna go ahead with the slideshow here. Whoa. And you know, the first image I'm going to share here is actually, I think it's pretty fitting for the NGG, because this is literally a glass ashtray at my grandma's house. And I remember this piece of glass because it's one of the first pieces of glass I remember picking up as a kid and being so kind of transfixed by it and how they got the bubbles inside of there. And it's still there today. I took that picture a couple months ago in preparation for this piece over here, but I don't know. My grandma had some other.
It's so clean too. It's incredible.
It's very clean. I don't know if she ever smoked either, but she had in case someone did. It was just sitting in her den. But yeah, you know, my grandma, you know, she's a big inspiration to me, and both my grandmas are still around today. And they collected small pieces of glass, and it kind of got me interested in the medium. And you know, I ended up taking a class in high school at the College of Creative Studies via a scholarship they used to give you via the MEP test. And I don't know, took a class and got hooked on it and found myself as a scholarship recipient to RIT in Western New York and studied glass there. And I'll move to the next screen, talking about some of the pieces I made over there. And this is cast glass. My teacher over there at RIT was Michael Rogers and Robin Cast. I'm sure you guys are familiar with those two. And yeah, Michael's a very prominent caster. And yeah, he was a big influence on me. And these are pieces, though, that are entitled Growth and Decay. And what they are cast glass hubcaps of 1963 Chevy SS. And you can see them on the left there. And also, this is like a stock image from the brochure, I think, when the company rolled them out back in the day. But they were like waxed, you know, lost wax method pieces where I'd cast the hubcap, you know, right off the cap there with the rubber mold, and kind of fill them with there's some there's a close-up right there, some like nuts and bolts, and then you know, layered metal leaf over that with copper and kind of rusted it out. But it's kind of a, you know, playing with this idea of like looking back in the past. This before and after. This is an image of the Packer plant in Detroit. It's just well known across the you know, across the nation, really. And on the left there is an image of it being built in 1910, and on the right there is the image that I think we're all familiar with. And yeah, I mean, just like a lot of other people, I was interested in sort of like this urban decay and the state of like where we grew up. And I mean, Rochester was kind of in the similar boat as being a Rust Belt town, and just some commentary on like the whole auto industry in that realm. And also like this idea of like kind of nature taking over again. And then this is another piece in the same vein. This is called Detroit 1963. And it's cast glass, again, using found objects kind of assembled into, you know, like a mother wax form, but also using some mixed media and found object as well. I mean, I think this is like a lens cap from an old Ford pickup, and it's cracked, and it's sort of like this, you know, like a viewing into the past. And behind it, I kind of had these collages of these old, I think these travel postcards I used to collect. And so I kind of like assembled this, and it's kind of yeah, just like a look back into the past, kind of with what I was talking about before. Here's some close-ups of it. And yeah, some gold leaf embellishment on these too. And the final piece I'm going to show from those days is just it kind of links to what I'm doing today. Always had like a interest in architecture and cityscapes and things like that. And this piece is called Deco Ship, and it uses cast found elements as well, and these like Art Deco kind of I think they're called, there's a word for them, but it's like the knob off of a door, and it's like an embellishment off of like a doorknob on your door. But again, just like kind of dealing with this like interior exterior space as well. And yeah, and mirrored with like a gold finish on the inside. And these are cast elements as well in the base and the middle part there. And then, you know, I graduated school. I moved back home, and I graduated in 2009, kind of close to the recession. And yeah, I was just living back at home, looking for work. And, found a couple glass shops around the area. I was working part-time at Greenfield Village, part-time in some studios, some local studios, and doing odds and ends, here or there at some other jobs. But finally, I heard about a job opening out in Simon Pierce in Windsor, Vermont, and it offered full-time access to glass, which is something I was looking for, but also I needed full-time employment. And so I moved out to Windsor, Vermont, and this is the factory they worked there. I was there about a year and a half, and I was an apprentice, and I worked with a lot of guys who had grown up in the area there. And this experience, really got my hands on the material, and I really learned a lot there. Learned how to gather glass properly, shape the material, and here's another look. That's a continuous melt up there, which is pretty cool. But kind of set a path for me, because a lot of the undercurrent of what I do in my profession is like production design work. And some of the pieces we would make there, it's just, you've all seen it, I'm sure, if you're in the glass, just all crystal, handmade, but high quantity pieces. And here's a few of them we made: ice buckets, cake plates, carafes, and whiskey glasses and things of that nature. So like I said, spent about a year and a half there. And then I learned about a full-time position at Greenfield Village. And this is the outside of the glass shop there, a building that was built, I think, in 1928. And it was originally a lampworking shop. And Henry Ford also had glass blowers and engravers in there doing demonstrations, but also making scientific equipment for some of his labs that were there too, specifically for the soybean labs that were on campus as well. And I was at Greenfield Village for about 11 years, full time. And it's a place that really, taught me a lot and sort of formed a lot of the ideas I have about glass making today. And it's a beautiful place. You can see from the exterior, it's a museum too, so they take good care of it, and they have that, museum budget. Here's a pic looking from the outside early morning on a winter. See the little smokestack down there in the bottom. And if you guys aren't familiar with Greenfield Village, it's a reproduction production shop. So we remake images or products from the 1850s all the way up to the 1950s. We have a contemporary line as well. But at the same time, you're also demoing. And so you can see on the right there, you get the school groups and everything. So there's a lot to kind of juggle around with that job, including, here's me making, some pieces. There's an employee on the right who's very happy with what I'm doing. And then Mark and Josh judging me on the left, who I learned a lot from. I've learned a lot from both Mark Vandenberg and Josh.
Got matching pants over there. Oh, everybody's got matching pants.
Everyone's matching, man. Yeah. And maybe you wear the long sleeves too in the summertime and everything. But that's basically what we spend our days doing. It's just reproducing glass. And also, though, with coordination with Habitat galleries, we were able to bring cool artists in as well. And I think this is for a Habitat event. This is, you guys know Laura Donifer and Julia Rogers. And I think Laura got in trouble on this foray too, to give her the microphone. And we got some written complaints from some audience members, I think. But it was always a good time, and it gave you that exposure, to other ways of making that maybe we weren't doing in the shop. And so I always loved that program, and I think it's taken off big time now. I think they have 4 artists a summer now that come through there for about a week residency. Shelly Allen too, another artist that came through. It's a great time working with her. It's a large swan right there. My mom took this image, so shout out to my mom, Kathy. This is like a Renaissance painting right here. So she set that one up pretty nice. And for the most part, I was just making product there. But in my free time, they call it Whimsy Time, which is like a link to the old historical shops where glass blowers were able to make what they wanted to make at the end of the day. And at that time, I was just into making just things the same size, the same scale, but kind of adding my own element to it. So here's some candlesticks. That I was into making, some decanters and cups and sets, really into cup making at that time too, but really just kind of using this time to grow my skill and to just get to know the material a lot better, in the hopes of being able to make what I really wanted to make at the end of the day, through my time there. Here's some reticello work. This piece is about 20 inches tall, all in all. And this is a piece made around a special event. I think Josh had called me one day and he's like, hey, we need to do an Easter event last minute. And it's okay, well, I don't know I don't really want to sculpt an Easter bunny or something like that, but this is my take of just like, placing it in the egg form on just something I wanted to make in the time that they were allowing me. And so the foot and everything like that too is with the reticello and gold leaf. Here's some more bit work, just getting more into like the Venetian realm of things. And that's all pot color. Greenfield Village had 4 tanks, 3 pots of color, and then 1 crystal tank. And then some more bit work and some more cane work. And then, yep, some more bit work right there. I think the tallest one, actually, I sold this piece at another JCC show years ago before the pandemic. And I think the tallest there is 18 inches as well. And then this is kind of like getting into more of the work that I make now. I'm always trying to, like any other artist, just trying to kind of, put their own inflection into things and do things a little bit differently than the next guy you see. And I started taking these sort of off center gathers and trying to think about the bubble and, like an off axis means. And so I would blow these forms out and then take a lap gather over them, and then carve them and polish them. And this has pretty much set me up for a piece that I make today. It's a pretty popular line I have, because for those of you who don't know, I mean, I run a small production business, just me, and then my shopmate, Matt Colbrenner, out there on 6 Mile and Mound Road. And I do barware and like high-end vases and things like that. But I mean, the undercurrent of how I make a living is through wholesale work like this. And so this kind of set me up for design. It's become very popular for me. And yeah, appreciate, everyone kind of reaching out and purchasing these. And anyways, yeah, these are cut on the lathe. Well, I'll go back here. Using a gang wheel, and you sort of get that texture like that. And so you can see, on the right, sort of like a lifestyle image.
Is that
and then
piece, is that top? Is that, go back one second real quick.
Yeah,
Is that,
sorry.
the topper, is that like a marble or a blown orb? What is it on top? How does it work? Just get
It's a solid sculpted. It's like a marble.
Marble.
Yeah,
that's very
solid
cool.
sculpted sphere. Yeah, with gold leaf as an embellishment in there. And yeah. And then after I kind of developed this product, or started to develop the product, it's just kind of a chance situation of leaving and purchasing a furnace. And I joined up forces with my buddy Matt, who I mentioned earlier. And this is his building that he owns, that he renovated off of 6 Mile Mound Road in Detroit. And it's a small shop. Like I said, it's just him and I, and it's 1,200 square foot. But it's a beautiful building. I mean, that's all stone on the facade there. And it used to be like there's a cemetery next door, and it used to be the mason's shop that cut the tombstones and engraved the tombstones to the cemetery next door. And it's old Polish cemetery, and like part of the foundation, part of the walls are still these like messed up names off the tombstones and things like that. I mean, there's like also massive, like probably 800-pound slabs of marble in the foundation and stuff. So it's a pretty cool spot. And anyone who's interested in coming by, just hit us up, and we'd be more than happy to have you. And
very
check
cool
it out.
space. Did you have to run any special power to this building, or was it all set up because of the masonry stuff?
Well, at one time it was, but when Matt had bought it, it was a shell of a building. It was slated for demolition, so they cut all the lines and all the utilities. And it used to have 3-phase power leading to it, because they used to have some cranes, I think, coming off the ceiling and stuff. But when Matt purchased it, he was able to have DTE reconnect the power with single phase, and we can run it on single phase now. But he had to reconnect the sewer lines and the water and all that too. Wow. Yeah, so it's a great spot, and I appreciate him, having me along for the journey. And yeah, we have like a full little cold shop and well, sandblasting area. I don't know why I took a picture of the sandblaster. I don't know. I must have loved the sandblaster or something. And then the hot shop, and there it is on the left being built. And there's the man, the myth, the legend himself, Ian Sapico, if you know him. Local glassblower who helps me out sometimes. Furnace and the glory hole that we have there too. And then, like I said, I mean, so I sell these things on the road. I go to these high-end wholesale shows. This is my setup, actually, this past February in Shop Object. And yeah, just centered on these vases and barware and decanters. And I'm going to kind of introduce or talk a little bit about like these concepts that I have, like sort of in line with the automotive industry and the paint swatches and the design that they used to go through. And I mean, when I'm thinking about the products that I offer and the coloration, I mean, there's just so much inspiration to go back and look at. I mean, a lot of these people these designers back in the day kind of figured this out for us. And I'm always looking at the old paint swatches from the 50s and 60s. I know like mid-century modern is kind of like coming back now with like the designs and the colors. And so I'm always constantly inspired about the past and as well as the contemporary designers I look up to as well. And so, I mean, this is like a cool little setup I had in relation to like these automotive swatches with my color swatches there on the left, kind of hanging down. And these are cool. These are all from Detroit. I mean, it's from back in the day, the Pittsburgh plate glass division from the mid-century. And I don't know. I just find this kind of stuff kind of fascinating, even though like swatches are not that big of a deal. But I'm always curious of what the designer or what that design department was thinking in that era. And some more of these, offering them in the colors. The Aurora, the Aqua. Here's a close-up of the cut that I do. And like I said before, I mean, I cut these and then I pick them up in a kiln and actually torch them to wet them out. So it's highly process intensive, but the smaller pieces, I get pretty good rates out of them. Some of the bigger ones, they like to fall off, but yeah, I get pretty good success with the smaller work. The golden spruce, the gray. Here's some more barware that I make. The Halo barware on the left and the Neo vintage barware on the right. Here's it in context. No one actually wants, I like that middle piece is not a great seller for me, but I just can't stop making it. I just love making it. I just love putting the handle on there and the gold leaf embellishments and things. And then here's some of the vases that I make. And these are done in the same fashion. These are done with a lap gather. The tallest one in the middle there is 18 inches. And, you can imagine, like, if you're a glass blower or know something about glass blowing, I mean, I lay these up on a piece of frax in a kiln and pick them up off a punny and then fire polish them again. So highly process intensive, but I mean, I'm just like everyone else who uses this medium. I'm just obsessed with the challenge and just I'm constantly inspired about, just trying to work with the tough medium. And these forms right there, this will kind of link up to, more of my recent work here, but these forms are sort of inspired by like the dominating feature of the landscape around here. I mean, Detroit's a flat place and Wayne County is a flat place. And there's a heavy history of industry. And these Fermi towers are down there in Monroe. And then obviously this is like a picture of the Rouge plant being built in the early 1900s. And I arranged these in cityscape patterns and sort of arrangements. And, off the cuff, I mean, you probably won't make the connection or whatever, but I'm always, trying to get inspired by the area and trying to stay true. Just to the inspiration around me. And here they are arranged in that kind of way. And here they are too in the gray and Aurora pattern as well.
Beautiful, man.
Thank you. And off from blue, gray, gold, some more gold going down the line. Here they are in context as well. Some more process showers, some more lifestyle shots. And then takes us next to this image right here. And there's this image contains two important things to me right now, or beings. And the first is, of course, my wife on the right. And then the other is this Apollo 11 space capsule. And we were staying, this is March of 2022, we were staying in that Holiday Inn back there. And we were staying at a wedding in Grand Rapids. And across the street from us was the Grand Rapids Science Center. They had this reproduction of Apollo space capsule out front. And I saw it and I was like, man, like, I think I remember, as a kid, I had these books and it was just talking about the Apollo missions and they were like super well illustrated. And I've always kind of had a fascination with, I mean, like anybody else, I'm not going to pontificate about the fascinations of space and how we're all sort of, have this common denominator being look up at the sky. But I was just always attracted to this form and I was able to find these images and they're from the North American Rockwell Corporation. I can't remember the book that I used to have, but I was so fascinated with the concept of a human being being able to be up in space. And then also more so of how they're coming back down to the planet. And they have all these great illustrations of this form coming back down, breaking our atmosphere and then, landing, in the water to get picked up. And here's a used one. But the form itself is just super interesting. And it hasn't deviated much too in time. And this is a SpaceX model that they still use. And so, I mean, obviously, like if we're talking about mid-century space travel, I mean, there is like a certain amount of nostalgia with it, but I mean, the same fascinations, you know, continue to this day, and a lot of the same designs as well. And anyways, it's kind of leading me up to this new model of work. This is more of my, you know, production design work, but it's sort of modeled after these lunar modules, and the texture on there is Primavera. It kind of gives like a lunar landscape. And the biggest one there, I think, is 12 inches in diameter. Pause for some water here. And then I also make these in some jewel tones. These have really taken off for me. These have gotten featured in a few magazines, a few publications lately, which I'm very thankful for. And they're just a lot of fun to make. And it's just like a fun form. You know, I love like the inspiration behind it. And then I offer them in all my jewel color tones as well. And here they are. This is more of like a neutral tone set. And then like that mid-century mint and salmon. This is a very popular color in Florida right now. And then it takes me to the pieces that I have on your website in your exhibition. And I mean, these forms follow like the module like a lot more. And obviously, I mean, there's a pretty direct connection to like this mid-century starburst design. But these are blown forms, a lot larger than my production forms, using the Primavera as well. And then these are brass starbursts that I had fabricated, that I designed, that were fabricated by a friend of mine who's a great metalsmith in town. And here's the large one, the dual. And here's a close-up of them as well. And for a while, I was actually, I was doing these out of glass, the starburst. I would lamp work the glass components and then do it all hot and stick them together. But I mean, the breakage on these, like after the fact, is just kind of absurd. Even if they make it to the kiln, I mean, just packaging these things and shipping them around just became a little too much. So, and I also just love like the absolute brightness and shininess of that kind of gold brass burst as well. And here's another one. And again, kind of like playing with this idea of like drawing the eye off the center of the piece and kind of making things off axis as well. And then talking about off axis, it takes me to, you know, my industrial impressions, the smokestack impressions. And I mean, you can definitely see the lineage of the forms, I mean, from my production work, my experience as a designer. But the smokestack itself is just such a loaded form. I mean, the cone is a beautiful form in itself. You know, factories provide jobs, but they also, you know, provide a condition of living that maybe isn't desirable. And I think it's just, yeah, an idea and a shape that we, you know, grapple with as a world, really. And yeah, these are just based directly off of, you know, the industry around me with the gray smokes and everything. This is a picture of the DTE power plant that used to be right on the riverfront in Detroit. I think they demolished it in the late 90s. And this is an image from the mid 40s. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, these things are just, yeah, they're just crazy, the way, like the scale of them all. I mean, everyone's seen them, but you know, when people see my work and the smokestacks are like, oh my God, I used to, you know, go on the Detroit River as a kid and, you know, see the smokestacks, and they talk about usually about this one or the ones off the Rouge plant, and that there's such a dominating feature in the landscape. But also, like, you know, just vibing off that rhythm and the symmetry with the forms as well.
Someone commented that they think the DTE plant was called the Seven Sisters.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Seven Sisters. Yeah, my friend has like a screen print illustration that someone did recently of them. And this is an image from the Henry Ford. I mean, like at the Henry Ford, I mean, going back to my time there, I mean, these were like hung up on the walls and things like that. And you're like walking by this every day, and then you can see the Rouge plant from afar. And I just, you know, when you're just in there and you're working with glass and you're thinking about the, you know, you're looking for inspiration, I mean, it's just like right there for you. And so like, yeah, I kind of like based off of like the different designs and heights off of these images and these forms. And here's another one in the same vein, just the double smokestack, just the gray and the ivory.
How long ago did you start doing the smokestack, or at least start attempting to do it?
Attempting to do it maybe 2 years ago. And then I think about a year and a half ago, I finally figured out how to get, because these are stoppers, these are in 2 parts. And so I can do them hot as well. But like you're just a lot quicker with the stopper. And I was able to figure out a way to make a stopper that fits into like a form that goes up like this instead of like out. And then that gives me the ability to kind of mix and match the smokes too, and mix and match stoppers as well. And so like, yeah, this idea is still, very new to me, and it's exciting because you can up the scale real easily. You can add different colors and things like that. So I'm still in the very beginning of sort of making these, and it's very exciting to get the response I've had on them so far. Yeah. And then, yeah, just talking again about the landscapes of the area. Some of these places are just kind of like landmarks in themselves. This is the Continental Motors plant. And actually, this smokestack exactly just got demolished last December 2022. And it's a dominating landscape on the east side. And this is the plant before, and going back after, you can see the little smokestack down there in the corner there. And then this is the AK steel plant that I see almost every day on my way out. You can see it from Greenfield Village. I think it was Rouge Steel. It was Henry Ford's plant. It was Rouge Steel. It was Severstal. Now it's AK Steel. Where actually my next door neighbor is an electrician there right now. And kind of just basing off, some of these coloration patterns off of like the sunset on those.
I'll make a comment about this where it overlaps in the cloud and the color changes based upon positioning. It's a lot of fun. And you back to your design aesthetic of where you position these works to make it really appeal to the installation location.
Absolutely. And that's the best part about the transparent glass, is being able to move it around and have it pick up the objects and kind of play with what you're talking about there. And then this is the Presto Whip factory, and this is right near where I live in Dearborn. This is off Telegraph and Michigan Avenue. And yesterday I was talking with Aaron about this, but it's just like the way these companies would present consumerism and try to kind of, create this sort of whimsical, advertisement, I guess, to their product, but just disguising these silos that house soybeans in this Presto Whip. But it's just, I wish these things were still there. I'll kind of the next image, the Hyundai dealership now, which is just beautiful in itself too. But it's just, I kind of wish they left the Presto Whip things there. But it brings me to some of my other, here's another example of this too, the US Royal Tire. I think it was in the 1960s World Fair in Queens, and they moved it out to Allen Park, and it sits now today right off the side of the highway that we drive by every day as well. And just like these companies, just like these advertisement schemes that would use in the mid-century, or I don't know, I just find them fascinating because a lot of it hasn't really changed today. But that whimsical nature, though, kind of rides me to these forms. It's like the mint and salmon. Again, just playing on the idea of the smokestack as this sort of complicated object. But mimicking these cool colors they used to have in the mid-century. This is a what is this? I got this written down. This is a 1956 Coupe de Ville with the gold trim on it, which is awesome. And this is a 1955 Coupe de Ville. Same factory. I think these are manufactured in Flint, actually. This past one right here, if you guys are into this, there's a lady in Inkster who had owned this car her entire life before it went up to auction. It has all the original components and stuff like that too. And here's those pieces in space as well. And then, playing with the two-tone option, again, going back to the industrial design sort of concept, the two tones. And this is an inspiration from Vanini, and then also these lime green kitchens from the 1960s and 70s. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Vanini glass, as any glass blower is. And so just sort of a nod to that with the Encalmos. And here's some more. These are for sale on the Habatat site. And again, with the two-tone, sort of playing with that repetition and that rhythm. but also like Aaron mentioned, I mean, these are really cool to play with too, just in front of each other and in line. And I mean, these are just sort of the schemes I come up with the photograph, but I mean, everyone does them differently with these. And then this is also for sale. This is a smokestack decanter set. And yeah, the two-tone decanter. And then yeah, the cups go with it. I actually made this piece for the exhibit SIP that was above the JCC show. And yeah, just sort of just vibing with this the smokestack as or that smoke cloud is sort of like my mark, you know, like my signature on some of these pieces. And the Chalcedonia set, which is also the JCC. This is from a melted pot of Chalcedony glass that originates back in Italy. The recipe that we have is over 500 years old, and it was yeah, it was passed down to Jeff Mack from Elio Corriso. And yeah, I think I made these tops of the village. I made these bottoms at another studio in Detroit. And these are about 15 inches tall. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, thanks. And then yeah, just finishing with another two-tone complementary color stack and sort of like a playful color scheme like the Presto Whip cans. And yeah, and that's my last side of my presentation.
That's great, Andy. Well, thank you. Go ahead and stop sharing your screen if you don't mind.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun to dive into your world, and I hope to learn more about it in the future as we, you know, travel through some of the artists in the Detroit area, because the community here is pretty incredible, and I'm hoping people have a chance to experience it during GAS, have a visit down to Russell and visit all the artists that I've known for a while. And then more people are popping up every day that know each other in the glass community here, like yourselves. It's our first time meeting was that the Jewish Center, you know, we're both in the same world. We haven't crossed paths. And that's what's
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
This time is you always find more people like yourselves who are extremely talented, and you have a different angle than we take as a gallery in the design side. We're trying to get more and more involved in. So I'm hoping to, you know, we're putting together a small space in our gallery for objects like yours to bring in and put up people to come see and enjoy and acquire, because people might have a space for that. And I know you make these beautiful objects, and you make these smokestacks that really caught my attention. And maybe in the future we'll have a chance to work via commission with you guys for people, and visit your studio to really see what you can do and develop a clientele base for, you know, design art. But thank you, man. It was great to have you today. It's in, like, I posted up the link to his show on artsy.net. And it's great to be part of your world and have you join our Habitat family. And thank you again for being part of NGG for this year. This exhibition continues next month, so look forward to us in April. I have applause. So thank you again for everybody for joining me today, and have a great weekend. Thank you, Charles. Good to see you, Helen, Myra, and Cheryl, and Jennifer, and Hannah, and Steve, everybody who's on the talk. And Helen, thanks you guys for joining us. Steve and Lori, we'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, one more thing. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, and share this with your friends, because I keep forgetting to mention that. Take care, all. Bye-bye.
All right, see you.